Howdy folks, welcome back to World of Tanks with the Mighty Jingles, and today we're going to be doing something that I haven't done in a while. I'm going to be doing a tank review, and the tank that I'm going to be reviewing is the brand new Fury Easy 8 Sherman tank that has been released in order to coincide with the release of the Fury movie starring Brad Pitt and a bunch of other people. Here in the EU, it's been available in America for some time. Obviously America got the movie before we did. Now the movie's out in Europe, we can also get our hands on this tank, and it's a very nice little tank. It's if you check the description of the tank, it will tell you the M4A3 E8 Fury, so it's an Easy 8 Sergeant Ward Addy's tank from the movie Fury. There's already an Easy 8 in the game, isn't there? Yes, there is. It's right here. It's also a Tier 6 medium tank. It's not an HD model yet, although I'm sure they're working on it. The Fury tank, well, you know, what exactly are you getting for your money? Are you just getting a tank that's exactly the same as the existing Easy 8, except it looks different? It's got the HD trimmings and it's got, cosmetic bits. Well, not exactly, no. The cosmetic bits and pieces on the tank are, very, very nice. You've got the logs strapped to both sides, and no, they do not act as spaced armor. You've got an extra machine gun on the top. There's a German helmet with a gas mask parked over one of the, lights. Spare track on the front, again, cosmetic only, does not act as spaced armor. Spare road wheel. You've got jerry can on the back, a bunch of boxes, some telegraph wire, USA painted on the side there. Cruise equipment hanging from the turret, just as they did in real life. And of course you've got Fury written on the barrel of the 76mm gun. Other than that, isn't it exactly the same as the existing Easy 8? No, I'm afraid it isn't. Well, let's compare them. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up the modules of the Fury, and then we're going to compare them directly to the same modules on the Easy 8. So there's the Fury's stuff, and here's the Easy 8. So the guns are exactly the same. They both use the 76mm M1A2, and they're identical. Same rate of fire, same penetration, same damage, accuracy, aiming time, weight. They use the same ammunition. They are the same gun. So, okay, that's a good start. Moving on to the turret. The turret of the Easy 8, it weighs less, has the same view range, it turns 1 degree faster, it has better armour at the front, but slightly worse armour at the sides and rear. Okay, so there's a difference. Moving on to the engine. This is where you get your first real shock, because even though they both use Ford GAA engines, the one on the Easy 8 has 20 more horsepower and weighs substantially less, 569 kilos versus the 708 kilos weight engine on the Fury. So signs are pointing towards the Fury not being quite as mobile as the existing Easy 8. We look at the suspension, and oh, hang on a minute, it does actually have better suspension. I mean, the load limit is better, but it's irrelevant. The Easy 8 suspension has enough of a load limit to take whatever equipment you want to put on the Easy 8. As long as you can kit the tank out with whatever you want, it doesn't matter what the upper load of the load limit is. It's the lower end of the load limit that's important, and the Easy 8 suspension has enough. But the Fury suspension enables you to turn the tank 4 degrees per second faster than the existing Easy 8. They both weigh exactly the same. And we come to the radio, and the Easy 8 has a substantially better radio than the Fury. 615 versus 570 meters signal range. Put the numbers together, and also bear in mind that the Easy 8 has a 48 kilometer top speed, and the Fury has a 41.8 kilometer top speed. The Fury also has a 14.31 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio. The Easy 8, 16.96. The Easy 8 is a much more mobile machine, even though it doesn't turn quite as quickly. And they have the same gun. So basically what you're getting with the Fury is a Tier 6 medium tank that's a copy of an existing Tier 6 medium tank. It just isn't quite as good. And I have no problem with that. Do we really want to go back to the bad old days of the Type 59 when it was first introduced? When we suddenly had a a tier 8 medium tank that was better in almost every respect than every other tier 8 medium tank in the game, and it got premium matchmaking, so it would only ever get into tier 8 or 9 games and would never see tier 10s, the way existing tier 8 mediums did. Do you remember the outrage? There's a reason why they are never going to sell the Type 59 again. It was just too good. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a premium version of an existing vehicle that is better than the stock version of that existing vehicle, but not quite as good as a fully upgraded version of the existing vehicle. And that's exactly what you get with the Fury. Well, that's all well and good, Jingles, but, you know, is it any good? Well, let's have a look and find out. And so, for the first time in almost 2 months, after having an absolutely shocking performance from my ISP while they were upgrading the contention rate of the cable in my area, I'm finally able to start playing World of Tanks again. And pretty much all I did was drive the Fury all day. I'm on Circumflex's live stream for the first time in almost 2 months. Right after his 36-hour live stream special, he did it again, the crazy Dutch bastard. And he and I are both driving the Fury. We pretty much just drove the Fury all night. Foch, of course, he's such a hipster. He's there in the T-34-85, and he's using the derp gun, not the 85mm. So, you know, that was amusing. This is also the first time I've played on the new Muravanka. I mean, I've seen the new Muravanka before. I did a test server video of it, but that was just driving around in a training room. This is the first time I've actually fought on the new Muravanka, so naturally we all rushed off to the new part of the map. And Circumflexes assures me that even though this thing's been in the game for approaching a month now, nobody knows how to play this map. And it's in counter mode. So, you know, the actual flag is right over on the other side. So, bearing in mind that the flag and the objective is on the other side of the map, what we don't want to do is just get bogged down in a pointless fight over on this side of the map. Now, I've just unlocked Sixth Sense. I'm actually using my M48 pattern crew in the Fury. It's one of the reasons people use premium tanks. The Fury's a medium American tank, so I can use any American medium tank crew in the Fury, and they will fight and gain experience as if they were fully trained in the Fury. And this was the first game in which I'd finally managed to accrue enough crew experience to reach 100% in the first skill, so I'd just unlocked Sixth Sense on the Commander. Sixth Sense has not gone off. There is nobody on the enemy team on this side of the map, so we take advantage of that and push around, try to catch them in a pincer movement, or at least, you know, that's the theory. So any second now we should start seeing some enemy tanks, and there they are. We're actually winning at this stage of the battle. Oh no, they've pulled the scores back 2-2, and that's when we spot the enemy Fury. Now, he's in a dangerous position for us. With him being there and spotting us, and I'm starting to take fire, we can't cross this open ground. We're just getting hit by those tanks on the hill over there. So we really do need to take care of that guy in the Fury, especially since the enemy team are starting to cap. The only problem, of course, is that in order to take care of that guy in the enemy Fury, there's an awful lot of open ground that we have to cover. And that ridge up there is infested with things that like to shoot at us, although there's now one less of them. Now Circumflexes has moved up into the town, so I'm trying to find a spot where I can give them supporting fire, but there's all these buildings in the way. And as I move up, that Cheeto has spotted me, put a shot into him, Sixth Sense goes off, he puts another, and I'm just taking hit after hit after hit. I managed to do a bit of damage, but I've got to fall back. One thing that the Fury, like the EZ8, is not overly blessed with is a lot of armour. I've managed to break contact, move up, staying in cover, and that's when Circumflexes gets himself into a little bit of trouble. There's an enemy Chaffee driver who had a really good game. Move up to the next spot of cover. Still haven't been spotted by that Fury, and we still haven't seen that Fury. So he's playing a pretty passive game, and there goes the Chaffee. And I can see what's coming, and I just do not have a shot at him. Circumflexes is yelling for help, and that Chaffee rips him a new arsehole. And I do like to see Chaffies doing well, because I love the Chaffee, but I just wish it wasn't at our expense. Now, this 76mm gun is not incredibly accurate. It makes up for it by just sheer volume of fire. And yet sometimes, look at this, it's got to be 500 meters away. All I can see of that tank is his commander's hatch. And 2 definite and possibly 3 penetrating hits, even at this kind of range. Now, I am carrying a limited supply of premium ammunition in this match. This was the first match in which I loaded up some premium ammo. And that's because of my experiences in the game right before this, which was the Tier 8 match, where I fired 50 shots and only managed to penetrate with 19 of them. It was a Tier 8 game on Siegfried Line, firing across the open field at Tier 7 and 8 heavies. 177mm of penetration with HVAP, which is the American version of APCR ammunition, on this 76mm gun. And I think 177mm of penetration of premium ammo on a Tier 6 medium is about right. I mean, it's certainly not overpowered. You're still not going to be beating Tier 8 heavies from the front with that kind of firepower. ARLs from the side, of course. Well, I mean, I haven't had to use any of the premium ammo yet. There's been absolutely no need for it. Not with the targets I've been shooting at. And even some of the tanks that I am likely to have bounced off, I've just hit the weak spots. I am going to need some of that premium ammunition very soon, however. And it's at this point where we've really got to get our fingers out and move forward, and I need to kill that Fury, but I'm on perilously low health. This guy has double the health that I have. He only has to hit me twice to kill me. Of course, he has to be paying attention. And he isn't. He had 600 health when I came over that ridge. I had 254, and now he's dead, and I still have 254 health. And that really seems to have rustled his jimmies good and proper. Look at him raging in chat. And I think that's hilarious. Well, we're just going to leave him to rage ineffectually for a bit. We're still trying to salvage this mess of a game. We've managed to reset the cap, unbelievably bouncing off the side of a TOG. Then we start bouncing off the front of an M6. The gun makes up for its low penetration by its volume of fire. But in situations where you can't negotiate open ground in order to get around the flanks of tanks, this is the exact sort of situation where you're going to want to be firing premium ammo at the front of M6s that you can't outflank. Now, I'm a one-shot kill, but most of those enemy tanks are on low enough health that we can still win this. Unfortunately, that Chaffee just drove all the way around the map in order to shoot me in my big fat American ass and put a stop to my dreams of glory. So, you know, well played, Chaffee, well played. And amusingly enough, the enemy Fury driver still hasn't realised that calling somebody who killed you a noob actually says more about you than it does about them. So, what have we actually learnt about the Fury so far? Well, I'm not really feeling the lack of mobility compared to the EZ8. It is a mobile tank, it's just not as mobile as the EZ8, and it turns faster than the EZ8, even if it's not as quick in a straight line, and it's a bit more sluggish over open ground. The gun performance is exactly the same as the EZ8. The penetration and the accuracy is not fantastic, but it's not bad. And it will make up for lack of alpha damage and lack of accuracy by just sheer volume of fire. With a gun rammer and ventilation and a 100% crew, you'll be firing a shot on this thing every 2.78 seconds. Now, while we're talking about the firepower of this tank, it's worth pointing out that because this is an American Tier 6 medium tank, it can fit a vertical stabilizer. And none of the other nations can fit vertical stabilizers to their Tier 6 mediums. This is purely an American thing. And it's historically accurate. Shermans did have vertical stabilizing equipment. It wasn't particularly good, and the gunners tended to end up disabling it because it just tended to get in the way, but they had the equipment. And so here in World of Tanks, the Americans are the only nation that can fit vertical stabilizers to their Tier 6 mediums. What that means in World of Tanks is that the American mediums tend to have a big advantage over all of the other nations when it comes to reliably and consistently hitting targets when they're dogfighting at full speed and manoeuvring at close range. Now, you're not going to see too much of that in this particular replay, but just bear that in mind when we come to watch the final replay of today's review. So, anyway, what's been going on in this game so far? Well, it's Malinovka, it's tier 6. The enemy A20 driver suicide scouted across the middle of the open field right at the beginning because, you know, that's just what A20 drivers do. Hey, one day he's going to be driving an IS-7 on your team, so, you know, good luck with that. We decided at the beginning of the game that all three of us were going to go and take the hill. And quick as a flash, everybody just, you know, went and did their own thing. Foch spotted an opportunity to get forward and get some spots off. And he's done it, but he's taken a lot of damage doing so. He's still in the T-34-85 with the derp gun. Circumflexes was heading for the top of the hill. We got the impression that there weren't that many enemy tanks actually bothering to come up here, so instead Circumflexes is headed down along the ridge underneath the hill, and it turned out to be the right thing to do. I'm now taking some very long-range shots at the front of a KV-220. I switched to premium ammunition. I think I'll start hitting him. There's actually a bit of a replay bug going on here. Now it looks like I'm just shooting at nothing. I'm not sure entirely what's gone wrong with the replay, but there is a leopard down there. And I'm putting shots into this little bugger. I eventually get him. There you go. Not quite sure what's gone wrong with the replay, but trust me, I could see that guy. I knew what I was shooting at. I've switched back to regular armor piercing. There's no point in firing APCR at a leopard. One other thing about the gun, I don't know if you noticed while I was shooting at that invisible leopard, is that the gun will fire as fast as it aims, and that's very, very important, especially when you're trying to put a large volume of fire down at long range like that. There are plenty of tanks in World of Tanks with blistering rates of fire, but not all of them have the aiming time that matches it, and while that isn't a problem if you're shooting at close to medium range, if you're firing at long range, as I'm doing in the majority of cases in this game, you do want something that not only has the fast rate of fire, but it also has a fast aiming time. And the Fury definitely ticks both of those boxes. And once again, firing at top tier heavies at extreme range, I'm switching to APCR ammunition. 177mm of penetration is by no means overpowered on a tier 6 medium, not at this kind of range, and not shooting at these kind of targets. As you can see, I'm still bouncing. And I'm bouncing because the gun isn't accurate enough to hit these kind of targets at this kind of range. Well, it's accurate enough to hit them, but it's not accurate enough to hit them where I'm aiming. You can see the shots are going all over the target, some going into the tracks, some hitting the side of the turret at angles and just bouncing clean off. Anyway, he's dead, move forward, switch back to regular armor piercing, and that's when we spot the KV-2. And the KV-2 is entirely capable of one-shot killing a Fury. It's entirely capable of one-shot killing most tier 6 medium tanks, and I have no interest whatsoever in getting hit by that monster. So I keep moving, and I take a hit from something, but it's negligible amounts of damage, and I think he was just about to shoot and put an end to my little adventure here when this ARL put him out of his misery. So, thank you, Mr. ARL. A bit of a brown trouser moment there, but yeah, let's move forward. The ARL's not a slow tank either. And come on, I know that Fury's around here somewhere. Where are you? Oh, there he is. And he's not shooting at me, which, you know, that makes me happy in my pants. Because 750 health and 63mm of armour at the most, you really can't afford to take hits when you're driving this thing. And now I've got 3 kills. Circumflexes has got 3 kills. There's only one enemy tank left. Come on, Foch. Do it for the brothers in arms. And Foch was doing everything right. You know, he's driving a Russian tank with a howitzer. He didn't bother aiming the shot. But he clearly hadn't sacrificed enough dissidence to Stalin, because he missed. The noob. And no brothers in arms for us in this game. Not today. Anyway, yeah, I've been away from World of Tanks for 2 months, so I'm a little bit rusty. Let's see how a pro does it. This is Johnny Trash, with the interface turned off, so you can actually get a look at what the Fury looks like without, you know, my camouflage paint job all over it. Very, very nice, I'm sure you'll agree. Johnny Trash is platooned up with his buddy Hitman 2311, and they're both in the Girls and Panzer clan, so, you know, they're automatically awesome, even before this battle started. And these two guys are going to show us what you can do when you're driving a Fury. it's a tier 7 game, so, you know, it's not going to be a pushover. The Fury is an entirely capable tank, obviously in a tier 6 match, but it's also an entirely capable tank in a tier 7 match. Tier 8 games, on the other hand, well, like the Easy 8, in fact like most of the tier 6 mediums, you're really going to struggle in a tier 8 game if the tier 8 tanks on your team are not pulling their weight. And the Fury's not special in that regard. I can count on the fingers of one head the number of tier 6 medium tanks in World of Tanks that are capable of going face to face with tier 8 heavies like IS-3s and Target 2s and actually beating them in a fair fight. That's not what these medium tanks are about. They're all about outflanking and harassing bigger tanks, and in order to do that, there has to be somebody on your team keeping them occupied and keeping their guns pointed anywhere but in your direction. If you get yourself into a game where your team isn't doing that for you, you're going to have a lot of problems driving a tank like this in a tier 8 match. Even with premium ammunition, firing at the front of IS-3s and Tiger 2s at long range when you can't aim for and successfully hit weak spots, well, you're going to be spending an awful lot of money and not doing an awful lot of damage. On the other hand, you know, looking at the bright side, if you are driving a Fury in a tier 8 match, then at least you are in a tank that is capable of working its way around the flanks and rear of the bigger tanks on the enemy team. Good luck trying to do that in a T-150, or, God help us, a Churchill. Of course, if tanks like this KV-85 are just going to keep showing his side, well, it's just a big fat credit and XP pinata, so keep shooting. Now, pay attention to this. You see, that tank there just disappeared. He fires, there he pops up again, he keeps firing at the last known position. You'll notice you're not seeing the impact of the shot hitting the ground, and that's why he keeps firing. It means he's hitting that tank. And there, that's the difference. You saw the final shot actually impact in the ground on the bank behind where that tank was spotted. World of Tanks veterans know exactly what's going on here. What was actually happening there was he was continuing to hit that enemy tank until the point where the shot hit the ground behind him. That lets him know that the tank has moved out of his line of fire and he's now just wasting shells. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he was actually doing any damage to the T-29, of course, but when your gun fires a shot every 2.78 seconds, it's worth continuing to pour the shots in. And there's the T-29, and he still has most of his health, so it looks like he probably only damaged him with one shot. But now he's reacquired the target, backs up, makes the most of his gun depression. First shot blows his tracks off, second shot does damage, T-29 disappears. T-29 has his tracks blown off, so he continues to fire at the same location. Shot after shot after shot. One every 2.78 seconds kills the T-29. Then, an enemy KV-85 decides he's sick and tired of living and wants to end it all, drives face first into 4 enemy tanks, and then, while the KV-85 is actually swapping paint with that Cromwell and Panther, friendly artillery takes the shot for 75 damage. Miracle that he didn't blow away the Panther and the Cromwell into the bargain. And, you know, yeah, alright, he didn't kill the Cromwell, he didn't kill the Panther, but the only reason he got away with it was more down to luck than judgment. And artillery drivers aren't necessarily, you know, less careless than anybody else in World of Tanks, but the consequences of landing a stray shot in the wrong place when you're firing a shot from artillery is significantly worse than landing a shot in the wrong place when you're firing a 76mm M1A2. Now, that's an IS, and he's well angled. Johnny Trash has pulled back, and to make the most of his gun depression, the IS is firing back with the 85mm gun. The thing is, Johnny's using some kind of super zoom mod here, so you can't actually see any damage numbers floating off the top of the IS. So I'm pulling the camera back to third-person external view in a second, just to see, and yeah, once again, IS popped out of view range, he just kept firing at the same position, was rewarded with a kill. And, you know, in fairness to artillery drivers, just to hammer the point home here, I'm not picking on artillery drivers, you know, for being careless idiots. Anybody can make a mistake, as you're going to see Johnny Trash do here when he's firing at this T-150 with a friendly Tiger P in close proximity. But the consequences of getting the shot hitting the wrong place when you're firing, you know, a 152mm howitzer shell from an artillery piece are significantly worse than a stray shot sailing past the turret of a T-150 and hitting a friendly Tiger P from a 76mm gun. So, while they're busy finishing off the T-150, and there he goes, and they're just about to start lighting up this T-34-85 as well, there are things in World of Tanks, and it's not just World of Tanks, it's online gaming, that just amuse me greatly. We've already seen one of them in the previous replay. Guy in the enemy Fury, killed him without taking any damage, and he starts calling me a noob. Well, okay, but, you just got your arse handed to you by a noob, so, please continue advertising the fact. And then there's something else that you get in World of Tanks. The T-37 driver on this team started calling his team idiots. Why? I mean, they're winning, and you're the one who's dead. I don't know. I mean, maybe it makes me a bad person that I just glory in the impotent rage of prima donna idiots who think it's all about them. But I really don't care, because I think it's hilarious. And long may they continue doing it, because these videos would be pretty bloody boring if it wasn't for all the arseholes who infest online gaming like that. Well, anyway, amusing though that may all be, it's not getting this tank reviewed any faster, so back to the game. Right, they've pinned down this artillery, and the other artillery has just fired and missed at the ARL. We're not going over that ridge in front of his gun, instead Hitman's going around the flank, takes him out from the side. Now it's safe to get over the ridge quickly before the other enemy artillery reloads, take advantage of the time it's going to take, drop off the radar, keep moving, don't be sitting in the same position. He's very careful not to move through the cap circle here and alert the enemy team to the fact that he's pushing up this side of the map. However, they've spotted him anyway because there's the Panzer IV. Now, there's a slight replay bug here again. You'll notice that the crosshair has gotten stuck over on the other side of the map, but watch what happens to this Panzer IV. Full speed, firing on the move, takes a hit from the T-25AT, artillery fires and misses, but he's pumping shot after shot after shot on the move into this Panzer IV, kills him. That is why people put vertical stabilizers on tier 6 American tanks. You're not going to hit with every shot, and you do need to be at medium to close range in order to make it work, but when you're firing a shot every 2.78 seconds, you're going to hit with enough of them. This game's pretty much over now. He's closing the close range against this T-25AT, but he can't sit in the middle of the open field, and at the moment he's below the line of fire of the T-25AT. There he is, takes a shot at the side, it bounces. The cursor's gotten stuck again. It's just a replay bug, sorry, nothing I can do about it. He's not having much luck against this T-25AT, but then again the T-25AT isn't having much luck against him. Finally gets a penetrating shot in, Hitman finishes him off. All that's left is the artillery, and he's probably down in this corner of the map, staying below the line of the ridge so that only his turret is poking up. There he is, spots him, takes a shot, and another, one more, come on, there we go, got the kill. XVM reporting 2,300 damage, but XVM only reports the shots that it sees, and he did fire a lot of blind shots in that game. The actual result was substantially better than XVM would have us believe. Ace Tanker, 5 kills, Confederate, Brothers in Arms, and a whole bunch of lesser medals. He actually did 3,130 direct damage, as well as over 1,000 assistance damage, damaging 11 of the 15 tanks on the enemy team. And Hitman didn't do too badly either. Not a bad performance from a pair of premium tier 6 medium tanks in a tier 7 match on the new Fiery Salient map. Well, I mean, I say it's a new map, but it's just Prokhorovka with a fresh coat of paint and some graphical effects that slow your game down, but still, a well-played match and a pleasure to watch. So, should you buy a Fury? Well, I did. Actually, no, I didn't. I intended to buy one. I logged into the World of Tanks gift shop. What are you talking about, Jingles? It's right there in your garage. Of course you bought one. Well, yeah, not quite. I logged into the World of Tanks gift shop in order to buy one of these today, only to see a "you have one gift awaiting" message blinking away at the bottom of the screen. So it's at this point where I have to give a big shout out to Islandman244. This video is brought to you by my sponsor, Islandman244, who gifted this tank to me today. Thank you very much for your generosity. Everybody on YouTube, thank Islandman244 for allowing me to bring you this video review of the Fury for £30 less than or €30 less than I was going to pay. I mean, I collect premium tanks, so I was always going to buy this thing. Should you get it? Well, I can't tell you whether you should or you shouldn't. All I can do is show you what the tank's like, what it can do, what it can't do, and then you can draw your own conclusions based on your own experience of the kind of tanks that you like to drive and do well in World of Tanks. Luckily, because this is based on the Sherman EZ8, there's a very handy yardstick by which you can judge how you should expect to be able to do in this tank before, spending the money and trying it out for yourself. If you are any good at driving that, the EZ8, then by all means go ahead and get yourself a Fury. If you suck at driving that, don't touch the Fury with a 10-foot long barge pole, because it's the same, just not quite as good. Remember, the Fury is only going to be available for a limited period of time, kind of like the Type 59 when they were selling that. Although the Fury does not get premium matchmaking. Right, this thing will see Tier 8 tanks, unlike the Type 59, unlike the TOG, which have matchmaking spreads that are limited to one tier above and below. Sorry, not below, but one tier above, unlike, non-premium tanks that don't have premium matchmaking, that will see tanks of anything up to 2 tiers above. The Fury will see Tier 8 tanks. It will fight Tier 8 tanks just like the EZ8. So you're not getting any special treatment there, but it's only available for a limited period of time. And unusually, it comes with a 100% crew. Here they are. And the reason it comes with a 100% crew is 100% purely because of the Fury movie. The crew have the same names as the crew of the tank in the movie. They don't look anything like the crew of the tank in the movie, but that's the reason why this is one of the only premium tanks that you can buy that does not come with a disposable 50% crew. I like it. I've played nothing but this tank today, and I've had fun doing it. I've not done particularly well in all the games I've played. I mean, I haven't been playing World of Tanks for 2 months, so this was a bit of a it was a bit of a rough re-entry into the game. I have done particularly well in a couple of games and lost both of them, as you saw one of them in the video. But it's a good machine. It's not overpowered by any stretch of the imagination. It's a thoroughly competent Tier 6 medium tank, and there are worse things that you could spend your money on. Hope you've enjoyed the review. As always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.